At Gate 27 of the bustling airport, 12-year-old Mira Thompson sat quietly beside her mother, her small hands wrapped around a weathered notebook. Travelers hurried past, juggling coffee cups, rolling luggage, scrolling on phones. But Mira's attention was fixed beyond the glass windows, watching planes lift into the sky like birds chasing dreams. Her notebook wasn't for school. It was filled with hand-drawn diagrams of aircraft systems, handwritten notes, and emergency procedures she'd memorized like bedtime stories. She was small, wore oversized glasses, and most people saw only a shy kid. But behind those glasses was a brain sharper than most adults. Her fascination with aviation had taken root 2 years earlier, watching flight documentaries beside her father, an Air Force mechanic who passed away after a long battle with cancer. After his death, Mira turned her grief into resolve. She read his manuals, listened to his old training tapes, and studied every night. That notebook became more than a study tool. It was her anchor, her compass, her connection to him. As she waited to board a flight to see her ill grandmother, Mira traced a hydraulic schematic with her finger. It was as familiar to her as a lullaby. A distant rumble filled the terminal as a jet touched down. Without looking up, she murmured, "Spoilers deployed too early." Faulty sensor. Her mother glanced over, both proud and worried. Mira wasn't just bright, she was exceptional, and in less than 24 hours, that quiet girl would save hundreds of lives. At 30,000 feet, the engines purred, cabin lights dimmed. Passengers leaned into naps or flickering screens. Mira sat by the window, notebook open on her tray. Her eyes moved across a page showing landing gear systems. Then, thump, 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 subtle, rhythmic, under the floor. Passengers stirred, puzzled. But only Mira recognized the pattern. She remembered it from a maintenance video her dad once showed her, the signature of a hydraulic malfunction that could lead to landing failure. Her hands trembled, but her voice didn't. She stood, walked briskly to the rear galley, and found a flight attendant preparing drinks. "Ma'am," she said calmly, "there's something wrong with the hydraulics. Please, I need to speak with the pilots." The attendant blinked, taken aback. "Sweetheart, I'm sure everything's fine." "No," Mira said, unwavering. "Please. I study aircraft systems. This sound, it means the left gear might not deploy. They need to check it." She opened her notebook to the page, pointing to the sketch. Her notes. There was a long pause. The attendant studied her, then the drawing, then those firm, focused eyes. "I'll tell the captain," she finally said. Back in her seat, Mira gripped her notebook. Whatever happened, she'd done what her father had taught her. Trust your knowledge and speak up when it counts. In the cockpit, the captain received the message. A hydraulic failure? Reported by a child? He raised an eyebrow until he saw her diagram. The precision, the accuracy, it made him pause. They initiated a manual systems check, and then the alarm lit up. The left landing gear was unresponsive. Emergency protocols followed. Flight attendants briefed passengers. Seatbelts clicked. Heads bent, breath held. As the runway neared, Mira clutched her mother's hand. The plane descended. The right gear dropped, the left didn't. The plane landed hard, tilted, skidded. Cries filled the cabin, then stillness. They were safe. Relief burst like thunder. Strangers hugged, parents wept. Mira sat motionless, heart racing, eyes glassy. A flight attendant knelt beside her and whispered, "You saved us." Mira hugged her notebook to her chest and closed her eyes, whispering silently, "Thanks, Dad." The next morning, sunlight streamed into her grandmother's kitchen. Mira padded in slowly, notebook still at her side. She barely made it to the stairs when, knock, knock. Her mother opened the front door. Reporters, cameras, microphones. Mira peeked from behind the hallway wall. "Mom, what's going on?" Her mom turned, stunned. That was the White House. "What?" "The president," her mom whispered. "He wants to meet you." Mira stared. "But I'm just a kid." Her mom touched her face gently. "Not to the people you saved." The next day, beneath the white columns of the White House in the warm morning sun, Mira stood in a modest blue dress, notebook tucked in one arm, and eyes wide with wonder. The president stepped to the podium, then turned and extended his hand. "Mira Thompson," he said, "your brilliance and bravery are proof that heroes don't need badges or titles. Sometimes they carry notebooks and quiet courage." Applause roared. The president continued. "Today, we launch the Mira Thompson Initiative, a national program supporting girls in aviation and engineering. Let this story remind us all that greatness often begins in silence, with a question, a sketch, and the courage to speak up." Mira searched the crowd. Her mom stood nearby, smiling through tears. She whispered, "Dad would have been proud." Her mom knelt, embraced her, and whispered back, "He is." And with that, Mira smiled, knowing this wasn't the end, just her first takeoff.